It's hot up in here.
Yes, it is. Let's talk about it. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Welcome back. Welcome back, Insightful Game. Glad to see you all again.
Yes, we are definitely glad to see y'all again. We hope that everyone is doing well out there and that you all are having a good day so far, or whenever you will be when you hear this. so, with that being said, cuz, how are things with you?
I can't complain. So far, so good. Outside of it being extremely hot outside and feeling like you're going to suffocate as soon as you walk out the door. But other than that, work life is good, personal life is good. From a spiritual context, all things are well. So, no complaints from me. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, really no complaints. Trying to like really be refreshed right now because I was kind of out late last night, so so I'm just trying to like make sure that I'm not trying to fall asleep, but I'm good. I'm good. So yeah, so I mean, anyway. So we forgot to introduce ourselves for our new visitors and new listeners. So for all of our new listeners or new viewers, we always like to introduce ourselves. So I am Shnequia, aka your girl S.
And I am Lakeisha, your girl, aka L.
And together we are Insightful Conversations with SNL. And definitely make sure that you go ahead and hit the like button for this video. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel, our YouTube channel, if you haven't
Mm-hmm.
already. And definitely make sure that you hit on that notification button, that bell, so that way you'll always know when we drop an episode, okay? And also subscribe to us on all our major podcast platforms too, because we own that too. So we're gonna
That's
remind
true.
you again
That's
at the end of
true.
this video as well.
That's
Okay.
true.
So well, I think it's about time, since we've already checked in, it's about time for how we always like to get our episode started with what we call
Buzzworthy
worthy
topics.
topics. All right. So who wanna kick it off?
You want me to kick it off? Mine's the
Sure.
least interesting.
So what's been buzzworthy in okay, so what's been buzzworthy in your week?
um, as you all know, there's a lot going on in the world right now. And I think one of the most pressing issues, especially for those of us who are in the southern region of the United States, if you have not noticed, this particular summer has been an extremely um, hot and sizzling one. And to say the least, we're not the only region that's experiencing an increase in temperatures. I read somewhere that Europe as well as Asia are also seeing, some increases as far as temperature is concerned. I know recently within Florida, I think last week it got up into some parts, even here in Tallahassee. We experienced 104 degree weather, and in some regions even upwards to 110, 120. And so I cannot stress enough, especially if you're outside during those times, make sure that you stay hydrated. You stay hydrated. No
And stay
juices.
hydrated.
Yeah, no juices, no teas. You really need to be drinking as much water as possible because heat exhaustion is real, and so we don't want Anybody passing. I know on Florida State University's campus, we've actually seen a couple of the collegiate students fainting, and the FSU Police Department, as well as the other medical services, having to be called out to assist those individuals. So, like I said, especially with our young people, if you're going to be out, whether you're exercising, you're hanging out with friends, you're just spending some time, along with yourself, just make sure that you're being cognizant of what's going on around you, especially, like I said, just giving um, just these very odd weather conditions. Because you want to add anything to the subject matter?
No, I second everything you said. It's hot. I don't like the heat. It bothers me. It makes me angry. I especially don't like it when it be hot in the morning and it's very humid. And like I don't like to be sweating first thing in the morning when I'm trying to get in my car to get ready to work, go to work. Like that just bothers me.
Yeah.
like I can deal with some warm weather, but just when it be scorching heat, I'm just like, this made me definitely like I know that I'm already got a relationship with the Lord, but this made me want to continue to even get right because
Okay.
I don't even want to experience what hell is if it got
Okay.
anything like this how it is now with this weather. So I'm good. I'm good. So
I've been telling my students that the entire week as well. Like it's crazy. Last summer, here in our particular region, it was very rainy, very wet. Compared to this summer, like you said, it's very dry. It's very humid, and you and I both live in areas where there's not a lot of water. So we're not getting a breeze, from an ocean or from some swamps and lakes and things of that nature. We're just continuously keep being hit by humidity. And so, like I said, it can feel like you are literally suffocating when you walk out of your house. Even our cars are taking a beating. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm starting to notice that it's taking a lot longer for my AC to cool off in my car. And so, trying to find other ways to cool more quickly, especially when I'm out and about during the daytime.
hmm. No, I can't say I've had that issue. Like it, as soon as I turn it on, it blasts, and I'm glad. That's probably because I have it like at the highest level it could go in
Gotcha.
the beginning. So, but no, I don't really have that issue. But yeah, like you said, it's hot, and like you said before, stay hydrated. Definitely make sure that you keep it hydrated.
Oh yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
and not only the heat, the gas prices too.
Yes. Yes, yes,
So
yes,
I
yes.
mean,
Although I am starting to see, I don't know how things are in Georgia. We are seeing prices starting to fall here in
mm,
Florida. I want to say about 2 weeks ago, the highest I had seen in Tallahassee was about four. I want to say one gas station had got up to 4.99 per gallon. And now I'm starting to see around town it's about 4.69 is what it is averaging now. So um I'm glad to see it fall, and it could definitely fall some more. So for those of you all, like I said, that may be on a more stricter budget and things of that nature, once again, you may have to find alternative ways to move around and things like that.
well, it seemed like it's still high to me. I mean, it might have gone down a little bit, but it still seemed high to me. Like
Still seeing
it's
how to
just
you.
it's just to fathom the idea of me having to pay $4 and something for some gas. It just
Yeah.
bothers me. But I've
Oh
never been
yeah.
the type to like let my gas tank go down to E. I
Oh
let it go.
yeah.
I let it go to half a tank and then I put some more gas in it because I'm just like I can't imagine paying over $100 some for a
Ooh.
full tank because I know people that have had to do that. But then again,
Yeah.
they also have like the big cars,
SUV truck.
trucks
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, but yeah. So anyway,
Okay. So, cuz, what has been buzzworthy in your neck of the neighborhood?
well, you know what day that was? Earlier this week, I believe it was. I can't remember. Can't remember the day. Um, Beyonce, Queen Bee, for all the Beehive people that's out there. She released her long-awaited, anticipated single for her next album, and the song is called "Break My Soul."
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of opinions about this song. Definitely some mixed reviews. Um, I'll start off with my opinion on the song, and then I'll
Okay.
let you share yours. Okay. I actually did not think the song was bad at all. Um, the song is definitely a different vibe. It's kind of got that house music, techno type
It
vibe.
does.
And so I personally feel like if you're not really into that type of music already, you're probably not gonna like this song because it's that. And I don't know if you know Lakeisha, but that song is actually sampled. Beyonce sampled that song from
Mm-hmm.
an artist in the 90s. I think her name was Robin S., if I'm not mistaken. The song "You Got to Show Me Love." I'm not gonna sing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna torture y'all with my voice. But just look it up, you know. But that's where it came from. And I really like the message of the song. I feel like this was a song that was needed with the current state of the world and affairs that we're in right now. And I think it's just a good summer bop. Do I personally think it's her strongest comeback single? No, not my favorite by her, but I don't think it's a bad song. So people talking about, oh, that Beyonce done flopped and all this stuff like that, why she put out this trash and stuff. I mean, I think it just depends on if you into house music or not. And my thing is, I'm not the biggest Drake fan, but he had released the album that kind of had a lot of the same type of music, this house music, and people was going in on him about that. So it's like people ain't necessarily keeping the same energy. You know, they like, okay, his music trash, but they like Beyonce song. But anyway, like I said, I personally think the song is okay. Like I actually kind of like it. It's not a bad song to me, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing what else she's gonna put out. In terms of this upcoming album called Renaissance. And you know, Renaissance means rebirth. So if she's going back
Right.
to like the R&B Beyonce, I'm here for it. The Crazy in Love, you know, the B-Day vibes. What was the one with Single Ladies? That album, like that, I'm here for it. So yeah, I think it's a good summer ball.
Okay. 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 I'm not necessarily a Beyonce fan. So before the Beehive comes at me, she's a great entertainer. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not necessarily a fan per se. There are songs that she's put out that I definitely enjoy listening to. I definitely enjoy seeing her perform because she does it like none other. And things of that nature. And so when I first heard this song while I was riding in my car earlier this week, I definitely picked up on the sample because, as you know, both Shnequia and I are millennials. We were born in the 80s and raised in the 90s. So I definitely picked up, that, hey, I've heard this beat, this melody at some point while growing up. I'm more of a lyricist, so I listen more to what artists have to say, compared more so than like the the music. I definitely love the message that is behind this song. As you described, Shaniqua, there's so much going on right now in the world overall, in our local communities, just different trials and tribulations that we're dealing with personally in our lives. And so it's nice to see that, celebrities or people that have, bigger platforms than what we necessarily have, um, that they're coming and they're making a stance and they're giving their opinion about it. To me, it's the anti hustle anthem of the season. As you all know, right now, especially in the workforce, a lot of organizations and companies are having to experience what is being termed as the great resignation, where we are having a lot of people, leave the workforce in droves, and it's making it more difficult when it comes to hiring and maintaining a great talent pool like we've done for years and in generations past. And so the first couple of words, in that song where she's talking about, she's found new love, she just quit her job, and so on and so forth. A lot of people may necessarily, you may, depend on who you are, that may not necessarily be your thing. You may not be in love right now. You may not necessarily be contemplating your job and job security and things like that. But for people that are, like I said, to me, it was a great message in just standing up for yourself, like regardless of what it is that I'm going through and what it is that I'm having to face. Whether my supporters going to continue to support me, or at some part they're going to fall off themselves. Like, you won't break me. I may bend, I may fold, and at some point I may even whine and complain and want to give up. But at the end of the day, you won't break my soul. You won't break the true essence of who I am. Like, I'm not defined by all of these things. And I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, especially those of us we're getting older, we are maturing in various aspects of our lives. We're starting to look at our lives in different perspectives and in different avenues. Like, what once was important to us in our teens, in our 20s, 30s, 40s, plus, may not necessarily maintain or have that same status as of now. And so I don't think it's nothing wrong with individuals, taking a look at your life and seeing, do some things need to be changed? If not changed, do I need to reorder, restructure some things in my life so I'm able to have the peace, have the serenity, experience the love that I've always wanted to experience in order to have the type of life that I see for myself. So that's the vibe that her song gives off to me. I totally agree with you, Shaniqua. It's not necessarily her strongest song, but does Beyonce always have to come out, guys, with a banger? In a sense, like I said, to me, I think it's an incredible
But see the
song,
thing
and
about
it's different for her. I understand, like, for some
right.
of her fans, it's definitely a different avenue in which she's gone, but that's also part of being an artist and or musician. It's trying new things and things like that. So, T Beyonce, I say, girl, continue to do your thing. The haters
Yeah, and
gonna hate. Let them
Yeah, and I
hate.
was yeah, and I was also gonna add too that a lot of people saying that it's a flop, but it's actually doing pretty well. Like
Yeah.
on streaming charts, like Spotify and all of that. I think it's broke like so many records already. I think it went like number one on like iTunes or something in various countries and stuff. So I mean, I think Beyonce was definitely looking to make like a global pop worldwide hit because a lot of people was kind of talking about, well, she's only making like this type of music,
Hmm.
like pro black music or whatever have you like that. And I think people was trying to say that, well, she's only doing this, we want to hear like some of the fun songs and stuff like that. So I don't think that the song is a flop.
I
i
agree,
I
cuz
think it's going to continue to do well. And like I said, kudos to you, Beyonce. It was definitely a good song. Only thing I gotta say is, the part where she talked about, quitting your 9 to 5 and stuff like that. Some people literally was taking her seriously and doing that verbatim. Now I ain't trying to say you can't do that. If a job is like, really stressing you out or whatever have you like that, but just make sure that you know, you're being realistic for what
exactly.
works for you, and don't
Exactly.
just do it because Beyonce told you to, because we know that she has a huge following and she has a
Right.
huge influence on people. So just make sure that you're doing this because this is what's right for you in your life. That's
Right.
all I gotta say.
I agree with you, cuz I agree with you on that.
So anyway, so
And then too, cuz we need people in these 9 to 5 roles.
right.
Our world wouldn't necessarily function if everybody pursued an entrepreneurial route. So some people are called to be entrepreneurs and they do an awesome job in that particular arena. But there's nothing wrong with you working a 9 to 5 or 11 to 7 or whatever it is that your shift that you work, because you are needed. You are needed. I
Hmm.
enjoy uh, my 9 to 5, and I'm going to continue to do it until
Okay.
God tells me otherwise.
Okay. I like having benefits. I like being able to have benefits. So
Hey.
important to me. Okay. So, moving on from buzzworthy topics. we want to go ahead and get ready to talk about our episode?
We
All right.
can.
So before Lakeisha gives a little bit of background on how we came up with this topic, we want to give you the topic. And basically, what it is before I say I do, let's talk money. All right. So, Lakeisha, do you want to introduce the concept of this topic and how we came about it?
I do. So, what we're going to be talking about in today's segment actually is a story that went viral several months ago. And when I brought it to Shnequia's attention, I was floored in a good way. It definitely piqued my interest and things of that nature. And I really, really thought that it would be a great dialogue for us to have, not only around all things finances, but for those who are married, for those of us who are desiring to one day to be married, for those of you all that may be in long-term committed relationships and you've had that conversation about marriage, and things of that nature. And so just wanted to give more context to those two topics as we move forward in life. And so, if you have not heard, there is a black couple out of LA that went viral several months ago. Um, and their whole story was centered around them only spending approximately $500 on their wedding day. And like I said, this caused a buzz on social media because a lot of us know, even if you're not married, you've done your research, you've researched it. Weddings are very expensive, y'all, and they've only tend to have gotten even more expensive as time has gone on. And so, after I started researching this couple and looking into their background and things of that nature, like I said, I was just blown away how they could have such a beautiful, such a memorable, um, fun filled wedding, yet to have spent the amount of money that they did, compared to other weddings that I've attended and or been to or just witnessed online and things like that. And so, like I said, we definitely want to use this moment to have a dialogue with you all, but to also to educate you all. Like I said, for those of you all who see yourselves one day walking down an aisle, uh, and having a life with another individual. And so some of the things that I wanted to talk about, if you all are wondering, like, how in the heck was her and her husband able to have a $500 wedding? Well, first and foremost, the two of them had a conversation before the wedding day even took place. And I think that is very, very important. They are a young couple. They knew the current situation that they were in from a financial fiscal perspective. And their original idea was actually Shaniqua to get married at a courthouse. And
Which is very
so
popular. Which is
very,
very
very
popular.
popular. But however, the bride decided that she wanted to kind of put a twist on things, but at the same time, keeping their finances at the center. And so as a result, they decided to have a very small ceremony with their family and a couple of their friends. Um, the bride's dress cost $47 from Shein. And for those of you all that do not know about Shein, one of the most popular companies when it comes to both women and men's fashions. And they have a lot of nice quality clothing and other items that, like I said, you really don't have to spend a lot of money on. So, like I stated, her dress was $47. Where they chose to get married, which was off of the cliff of a highway, because they kept their guest count below 75. That meant that they did not have to pay for a permit for the city. So in essence, the location cost them $0. Okay. The only thing that they had to pay for when it came to the location, of course, was their backdrop, which I think the bride and groom stated it was about $200. And then, of course, chairs for their guests to sit in and things of that nature. Her bouquet as well as their wedding cake was gifted to them by friends and family. So that was
That's what's
another
up.
expense that they saved on. The groom's tuxedo, I think they said was about $100. And I can't remember if he decided to purchase and or rent it.
That's what I was
Um,
gonna ask. I was gonna ask that.
yeah, so that was another cost saving expense. And then I thought something that probably would cause a little bit of chaos, in the Black community is the reception. So they did not necessarily have a what you call it, a reception space per se. They actually decided to go to a lounge afterwards. Once again, $0. And once again, not only did they have a conversation amongst themselves, they also talked to their loved ones, you all. So they let their loved ones know, about their plans as far as their wedding was concerned, but also being realistic with them about the costs that are associated with weddings. And so their families understood, and they decided that they had no problem with purchasing their own meals as well as their drinks. So once again, that was a cost that the couple did not have to incur, because everyone who decided to come to the lounge afterwards, in essence, paid for their own meals and indoor beverages. So just like I said, that's just to give you all context about what we'll be talking about today. But definitely, we're going to break this thing and dissect it in different layers for you
Dice.
all as well. So, cuz you got any feedback, commentary?
Um, well, I just want to say, first off, starting off, kudos to that couple
Mm-hmm.
in terms of just like you said when you started off the explanation about how they came about, the finances and for it or whatever. I like the fact that you said that they communicated, because I think that
Yeah.
that's the most important thing in any type of relationship that you have, especially when you're talking about marriage and planning a wedding and things like that. And I'm also glad that they did it their way, and they didn't
Yes.
necessarily let society or family or friends pressure them to say, well, you need to have a big wedding and you need to
Mm-hmm.
do this or whatever have you. And it also sounds like that they didn't necessarily have any backlash, I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming, when they went viral, which I
Mm-hmm.
also think is good. So I just like the fact again that they did it their way. And because a lot of times, with weddings, people always feel like they have to put on this show and put on this
Yeah.
fancy production for the people that are there. Because we always say that, the wedding is for everybody else, but the marriage is between the two people. And
Right.
which is so true. And so I actually thought that, that kind of gave me good ideas on, what to think about, what's important to me, whenever God blesses me with the opportunity to get married. Because, it's not about like the wedding and all of that. Because
Right.
I probably would be that type that would get married at a courthouse. Only because, I mean, again, it's about the union. It's about our
Exactly.
vow and our commitment to God, and having our friends or family or whoever we want there to witness, our love for each other. That's what's most important. I feel like when you come in to a relationship or a marriage, having those conversations, I feel like that's important. And and it helps you to remember what's most important.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. I totally agree with you. Um I did some research the other day that was stating, I want to say it was from Pew Research, that in 2021, the average wedding, you guys, cost almost $30,000. I don't know about you all, but that's a lot of money. Like, that's some people's salaries, in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, if you have it and that's something that both you and your fiance have decided that you want to do for yourselves, that's you. But I also tend to think that we have to start thinking beyond the wedding day.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
I used to be one of those women, especially when I was younger. I wanted a big fancy. wedding. I wanted all these people, at my wedding. And I had, when Pinterest was very, it was a popular app at the time. I made all these different boards, with flowers and various dresses and destinations and things of that nature. But once again, like I said, as I've gone through some highs and some lows in my life, like I said, I now understand what's important. And as Shnequia stated, it's not necessarily the wedding.
Mhm.
Um, do we both want to have a beautiful ceremony? Most definitely. But do we have to necessarily spend a whole lot of money to make that a reality? No, we don't. And this couple proved that. Not only them, there are other couples that have gone viral, for spending. I found another couple out there that spent like $1,000 on their wedding day. So there's a lot of people, you all, that are making their wedding dreams a reality, and yet they're able to live the type of lives in which they want to live. And so we're not necessarily saying, don't do that. Like I said, if you got it, then you got it. That's what y'all want to do. That's what you want to do. However, from a realistic perspective, from most people, most Americans, like I said, we have to start thinking long term. Is it really worth you going into debt? Is it really worth you taking out a loan just to make your big day an actuality? Because, like I said, this could affect some things moving forward, like home ownership. You want to purchase a new car, vacation, so on and so forth. And so, like I said, we've got to start really honing in on really what's important in our lives, especially when it comes to a marriage. As Shaniqua, you stated so beautifully, it's about the union between the two of us. And so at the end of the day, I believe if it's just me and my future husband and a couple of family and friends, I am now content with that. I don't want a lot of people. I don't need a lot of people present on my big day, because I really want us, but more so God, to be the focal point with regards to why we were brought together in the first place. And like I said, it does not take a lot of money to make that happen.
Mhm. That's true. That's definitely true. And I think, finances is definitely a conversation that needs to be had. Just like, when you're developing relationships with people and you're actually deciding whether or not you want to be in a relationship with someone and marry them, how we always talk about how many kids we want to have, or
Hmm.
we talk about past history in terms of like sexual partners and sexual
Right.
history and stuff like that. But money and finances is just as important, probably
Yes.
even
Even
the
more important.
most important, because of the fact that you know not only like when you make that vow to each other, like the finances come together. You know what I'm saying? And you have to really definitely make sure that this is something that you really want to take on. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you in terms of spending? Are you more of a
Yeah.
saver? Those are key conversations and questions that you have to know, because
Yeah.
that helps you to make an informed decision of whether or not this person might be right for me, or if I'm not necessarily feeling like I don't want to necessarily end the relationship, where maybe is there something that we can kind of work out, like, is there some type of education that I can help you with, some type of compromising or whatever have you. Do we need to talk to a financial advisor, something like
Yeah.
that, those things that can be put in place to kind of help to determine whether or not you want to move forward with a relationship or marriage.
I agree, cuz I agree. All good points. All good points. All good points.
you know so that's definitely important. And I think a lot of times, and we kind of already talked about this, but just the pros and the cons of having conversations about finances,
Hmm.
into the marriage and the relationship or whatever. I mean, obviously we already talked about, when you become one, you become the finances too.
Yeah.
So just kind of taking that into account. And also just thinking about what your goals are financially.
Right.
Like, is the goal, we want to be a homeowner,
Right.
it that we want to, get a car or whatever have you, think about, well, what is it that we're trying to achieve here, and what do we need to do to be able to make that a reality.
Right.
So I think that that's definitely important. And you also got to look at, like what I talked about before. Finances can make or break a relationship.
It
You know what I'm
can.
saying? And I know we talked a lot about in previous episodes about, non-negotiables and what you're willing to compromise on. And that's something that you have to ask yourself. Well, is
Yeah.
finances a non-negotiable, topic for me? Is it that I'm not going to date someone that has a huge amount of debt? To the point where this is going to determine whether or not I want to move forward, in the relationship or whatever have you. Having these conversations early on, I think, definitely helps you to prevent a whole lot of unnecessary heartbreak
Mhm.
and anger and all of these things with
I
that.
agree. I agree, cuz I agree. We've got to be able or be willing, and to put ourselves out there, also to be vulnerable, to have these types of conversations. I feel like you have some people out there that may feel like, I don't necessarily want to broach this particular topic as of yet. I don't want to run him or her off. I don't want them to think I'm a scammer, I'm a gold digger, or that I don't necessarily have myself together. um, but regardless, at some point or another, it's going to come out, whether you do it, like I said, during the dating phase, or while y'all are talking and getting to know each other, or y'all are now in the full-fledged relationship and some things, the ball starts to tumble and drop, and things like that. So if we can talk about everything else under the sun, as you stated, we can talk about, our past sexual history. We can talk about family. We can talk about our likes and dislikes and so on and so forth. We've got to be able, to have those discussions with our potential partners when it comes to finances, because also it isn't fair, if you're hiding certain aspects about your life, as Shnequia stated, that it may be a deal breaker for the other individual, or it may not necessarily be a deal breaker uh, for them, but now that's something that they're gonna have to
Come to terms
they're
with.
gonna have to come
It's
to
in the back
terms
of their
with if they
man.
decide to stay uh with you. So like I said, I applaud this young couple, and like I say, young, they're in their 20s, you all, that they were man and woman enough to sit down and to talk through some stuff. I can only imagine it probably was not an easy conversation to have. um it probably did hit some sore spots, as finances do, probably with all people, at some point. But like I said, the willingness, for them to push through. And like I stated, they still got married. They still had a beautiful ceremony, as Shaniqua, so they did it their way. And at the end of the day, now they're going to be able to set themselves up fiscally, very, very nicely, because of the money that they saved, from the start of their union.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you know if they went on a honeymoon?
I want to say that they did. I want to say that they
They did.
did. Yeah. I don't necessarily think, once again, I don't know if it was something that they paid for, if it was gifted, or things of that nature, but they did go on a honeymoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah. And so I've known couples, like I said, who've done the whole courthouse wedding, and they have a big reception. I've known some couples who have gotten married in their backyards. Like I said, I've known people who've had, huge, massive wedding ceremonies, and things of that nature. And like I said, everybody is different. You just have to find what works best for you, and your partner. And like I said, I cannot reiterate enough, thinking beyond the wedding day, because in all actuality, although Shaniqua and I have never been married, like I said, just from a point of observation, do 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 you think the wedding couple really gets to really enjoy the wedding? You know, they're throughout the day they're shaking hands with people, they're taking pictures, they're having to get ready for the
Mm-hmm.
ceremony. They're being pushed and pulled in so many different directions. Even when they sit down to eat the food, they probably take like a couple of nibbles,
because they
and then
still have to, yeah, because
yeah,
they still have to kind of like mingle with everyone, the
exactly,
guests, and thank you for coming, and all
exactly,
of this stuff, and I mean that's a very good point, and I don't think a lot of this time people think about that, because I think for me, what I can't necessarily fathom is that people put so much time and emphasis
mm,
on like trying to plan the wedding. Weddings are stressful.
that they
I've
are.
never been married, but I've been bridesmaids, and I know people, close ones, close friends, that have gotten married, and just talking to them about the levels of
Yeah,
stress and pressure that
yeah,
they're under to try to like make this perfect day, when honestly nobody really talks about it anymore. If we want to be truthful, nobody really wants to talk about it anymore after the wedding day. Like
yeah.
nobody's going to be saying like 10 years from now, oh, you remember that wedding, you did that, you had all these people hanging from the chandeliers, and I mean, I'm serious.
You're right.
I mean, dude, because I know I don't. The only thing that I will remember is like, I may remember your wedding date, so I can tell you happy anniversary. But other than that, I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of that has to do with just societal pressures
yeah,
about like feeling like you have to put on this public display to showcase that I really love this person or whatever have you, and then you going into financial debt after the fact.
after the fact,
I mean, and for
after the
what? And then a lot of times, and I'm not trying to like put bad stuff out there, but a lot of times these people that do these big lavish weddings don't last. A lot of
mm,
times they don't last. And it's primarily because a lot of times they don't have these conversations in the beginning about what's important, and
yeah,
getting to the purpose of the wedding
right,
ceremony, which is really the marriage.
right.
Not about this day. All this for just one day that nobody remembers.
You're right, cuz.
So I mean, yeah.
Like I said, we got to do a better job at prioritizing what's important, especially in our Black and Brown communities. We do, we do, we do. And
And I'm go ahead, go ahead.
oh, you,
I
you
was just
go,
gonna
cuz.
ask a question about the couple. I'm just trying to figure out what was the reason that they went viral in the first place. Because, and I'm not saying that to be like funny or whatever. I'm just saying, like, is that not, I mean, is it because people felt like, oh my God, how they only spent $500 on a wedding? Was it that, or was it just because like they put pictures out, and people commented and just like, oh my God, this person, they only did $500. Like, I'm just trying to figure out how did it go viral to begin with, because a lot of people have the same kind of mindset as them. So
Right.
I'm trying to say, what was it about this particular couple that made their situation go viral?
Well,
Do
I
you
think it's
know?
a combination of things. I think, like you stated, it was social media. It was family and the friends that were in attendance at the wedding. Also, the bride. She was very vocal. She was very honest and very transparent
Okay.
on her Instagram about her and her husband's wedding day. And like I said, a lot of us tend, especially women, we tend to have this fantasy um, type of mindset when it comes to what we view or how we want this day to turn out. And like I said, she's not the first one, as you stated, Shnequia, that's had a very cost effective wedding. But I think, given their age, like I said, both of them are in their 20s. Um, B, given where they live, because we all know California is very expensive
Mm-hmm.
to live in. So for them, like I said, to keep costs down in such an expensive state, like I said, that age group tends to get termed as being very immature. You're still growing, you're getting to know yourself. This, that, and the third. And so to me, for them to be able to do something that even generations before them may have not have been necessarily been able to do, or do it successfully, or to even do it to the context in which they did it. I think all of that, combined into one as to why this story has gotten so much press, that it has gotten into, I mean, the pictures, her pictures, I mean, their pictures were absolutely beautiful. If you see her dress, you would think, just looking at it, you wouldn't think she spent less than $50 for that dress. That looks about to me, as much as I watch Say Yes to the Dress in different countries and even here in America. If I didn't know any better, I would estimate that the dress is probably upwards to like
Mm-hmm.
$1,000. And like I said, it was not that. And so, as stated before, her and her husband, they did what they had to do with what which was in the best interest for them in order to realize their wedding goals. And we hope, when it comes to our audience, isn't and this is not only just about weddings, you all. When it comes to any big purchases in life, that you will really take a hard look at various avenues when it comes to how can I realize my goals, but also make sure, like I said, that I'm setting myself up to be successfully both in the short and long term. This is something that I have talks about my students with when it comes to paying for college, for those who aspire to be homeowners one day or purchasing a car, and so on and so forth. Like I said, we've got to start having these conversations early on, and not being afraid to leave some people behind as well, who may not necessarily see eye to eye with you when it comes to whatever goals that you have set up for yourself.
And I also, that's a great point. And I also wanted to add about because we talk a lot about generational stuff here on
Mm-hmm.
our podcast about, a lot of times we do what we've learned and what we've seen,
Exactly.
from our family. And I just want to say that, let's say you did come from a family or household where finances wasn't necessarily talked about. And what I mean by that is how to like properly like take care of your finances, how to properly save, how to make sure that you have a good credit score and history and all of that. Even if you didn't necessarily have that, and some people, let's be real, didn't have that because they do what they've seen. Like,
Right.
if they come from households where there's a whole bunch of lavish spending, going on, that's all they would know.
Right.
And I'm saying that that doesn't necessarily have to be your reality, because
Right.
there are people, like I mentioned before, there are financial advisors. There's education that you can get and receive, so that way you can be able to achieve some of those financial goals. There's programs that's
Yeah.
out there. I mean, there's resources that is designed particularly for that. So just because you may not have grown up in a household or a family where, this was discussed, there's still resources available for you if
You
you
just,
want that. The key is if you
yeah,
want it.
gotta
You know
tap
what I'm saying?
in.
Right. You have to. I mean, we're so quick to like, access resources for other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Finances, financial, same way. So, I mean, so I just wanted to put that out there because I don't want people to feel like that they have to be a product, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying, of what they received or what they learned. Because you don't have to be. Because I realized that everybody did not grow up in a household where that was discussed. Like, my household, it was. You know what I'm saying? I was taught about the importance of having, financial, independence and things, what you need to do and all that stuff like that. But I realized everybody doesn't. So I just wanted to throw that out there too.
And then the flip side of that, Shaniqua, like you said, maybe you come from a family that have had those type of discussions, and your family is well off. Just because you have the means doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go down that route as well. You
Mm-hmm.
can still, like I said, you can still achieve whatever goals, whatever aspirations that you have at hand, but looking for more fiscally responsible ways, to invest, to budget, to save, so on and so forth, and things like that. So just because you have it, doesn't necessarily mean that you always have to spend it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, cuz I wanted to talk more about, and we've hinted on this a little early on in the segment, in your opinion, especially with you being a therapist, what do you see as some of the negative implications when it comes to finances and how it may affect one's mental health when we don't have these conversations in in the relationships that we're in?
That's a great question. I think one of the things that I often see a lot of times is people wanting to do whatever they can to please their partner. For example, like if they know one partner, if they know that they're not the most don't have the most finances, and they realize that their partner likes nice things or
Mm.
whatever, and they'll try to do whatever they can to appease that partner, get them the finest gifts or the finest jewelry and this, that, and other, get a whole lavish ring to propose or whatever. And they try to do that because they want the person to see value in them and love them and not leave them. And so that can definitely have some mental and psychological impacts, because it makes you feel like, okay, well, I'm being reduced to what I can give you,
Mm.
not necessarily for who I am as a
Right.
person. And so that can cause a lot of friction in the marriage relationship or whatever, because it's just like, okay, well, a lot of times you're only with me for what I can provide you. You know what I'm saying? You're not necessarily trying to love me for me. And what if I didn't have all of these things? What if it suddenly
Right.
went away? Like, would you still be here? So that's been a lot of times what I see as a negative consequence. And also just the fact of um feeling like, okay, well, do I want to take on this person's debt? Like, on the flip
Yeah.
side of that, like being their savior, if you
Right.
will, you know what I'm saying? Feeling like, okay, well, I have to fix this for them, you know what I'm saying? Which again can cause a lot of arguments, resentment towards the person or whatever. When actuality it's like you're not necessarily being yourself, because you're
Hmm.
trying to put on like a facade for someone else. So those would be the big things that I see a lot of times. Feeling like you just have to like do whatever you can to please this person or whatever, and you lose yourself in the process and what's most important to you. And that can
Mm.
also get you in like the little debts that we were talking about before. So yeah, those would be
Yeah,
my things.
you're right. And then, of course, all of those things can eventually lead to, increases in levels of anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
depression, burnt out, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So So, like we said before, like you just literally can't stress it enough. Like, please, please have the conversations. Please have the
Hmm.
conversation. Communication is key. I think if y'all don't get anything else from this topic in this episode, just remember about communication
Oh,
and
yeah.
also going to the core of why you want to be together. What's most important, especially if you're looking into
Mm.
getting married and really building a life with someone. Are we really doing it because this is what's for us and it's important to us? We really love each other, or are we doing it because we want to just showcase this facade, this image? Um, to the world.
Right.
So just kind of keeping that in
Keeping
mind.
that. And then, two, maybe you're not able to have the big wedding day at the forefront. But like also, I've even seen some couples, come year 5, year 10, year 15, so on and so forth. Now you're able, because you all have saved up money for your special day. Now you're able to realize, what you have dreamed about, what you all have had conversations about, and things of that nature. So you may be able later on in your union to have a more costly ceremony. Like I said, once again, not going into debt, but because, like I said, you all, amongst the two of you all, had some goals, y'all have some plans in order
Mm-hmm.
to make this thing a reality. So, We hope that you all learned something from today's conversation that you're able to take back, not only for yourselves personally, but for those of us, like I said, who are desiring marriage, and for those of you all who are um, married. I'm a big proponent of lifelong learning. So we never, ever should reach a place in life where we feel like we can't no longer learn anything, because learning occurs in all different phases, shapes, sizes, forms each and every day. And so, educate yourselves, whether that's in the form of workshops, conferences, uh, webinars, but also if you need to reading journal articles, magazines, sitting down with people who are in the positions and the spaces and the places which you so desire to be in, and getting their perspectives on those things, so that you are continuously improving and bettering yourself to become the best versions of you that you want to. And so, like I said, I hope that you all took something from today's segment, that you can not only utilize for yourself, for your loved ones, and also be able to pass this knowledge on to somebody else in the world.
Exactly. Okay. Well, we are at the point of our show where we do what we call an insightful moment. And what that is basically where we leave you with some type of inspirational quote, song lyric, poem, Bible scripture, whatever have you. And it's just something that, we like to do to try to have you just to have some type of inspiration in your life. Sometimes me and Lakesha will do it. We have submissions, and we do have a submission today. It is from Patrice. She's actually one of our newer listeners. She actually works with me. She's a very nice young lady. And this is what she said. When you put a drop in a bucket daily, you eventually get a gallon. When you put a drop in a bucket daily, you eventually get a gallon. So thank you for that, Patrice.
Yes.
Really appreciate that. And if you want to submit an insightful moment to us, feel free to do so. You can definitely hit us up in our DMs, or you can email us. Our email address is insightfulconversations37@gmail.com. And like I said, as always, like and follow Insightful Conversations with SNL on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Our username is @InsightConvoWSL. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
And again, if you like to listen to us, we're on all major podcast platforms, so you can find us there too. So you can find us, either listen to us or you can watch us. So it's whatever your choice is. So do you have anything, Lakesha, that you wanted to kind of add?
I think that we've said enough, and your co-worker ended it on a beautiful note.
Yeah, so shout out to Patrice. Shout out to Patrice. Thank you for that submission. And like Lakesha said, I just want to echo her sentiments. We hope that you all enjoyed this episode and that you all really learned some things from it, got something out of it, just kind of did some self-reflection about maybe your own lives and some of what your own financial goals are. And even if this necessarily wasn't for you, just sharing it with someone who you believe could benefit from it, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Okay. And that was pretty much all I had. So, Lakesha, if you don't have any final words, I guess we can go ahead and close. As always, we hope that you all have an amazing week, and that you all are doing well, and just continue to uplift each other. We're in trying times right now, so just spread love, and all of that. So, and definitely make sure that you're taking care of your mental health, your peace. and all that. Okay. Well, there's nothing else. Till the next time, take care and peace.
Bye.